communication equipment and accessories. And E is a bid contract for Healthy Homes General Contractors.
Any questions on these three resolutions? Councilman Gonzalez.
I don't have a question on this. I just wanted to ask, where are we with the garbage containers? Let's say that people are complaining that they haven't received the containers from the city. I just want to see if we can get an update of where we are with that.
All right, Mr. VA, can you comment, or is anyone else here? I guess it's you.
Good morning, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. I don't have an answer, but I will get one with respect to when the next tranche of garbage cans is expected to be delivered. It's just budgetary, but it will happen. But I'll get a better answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
F and G are resolutions from the Office of the Business Administrator. F is an application acceptance of grant funds, the acceptance of grant funds from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Lincoln Park Restoration Project. And G is rescinding a resolution previously adopted. This resolution was meant for Newark Public Schools.
Say that again. I didn't hear that last part.
For G, the resolution, the reason why we're rescinding it is that it was actually meant for Newark Public Schools and not the
Yes.
city.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions on those two items? Hearing none. Next item.
7R2A through G are private sale redevelopment agreements. A is the First Amendment to amend the scope of the project and extend the project schedule and completion date in the West and Central Ward.
President,
Uh,
do we have the developers here?
Are the developers here for 7R2A? Broad Belt.
Good morning.
Good
Brandy
morning.
Daniel, Legislative Coordinator for Economic and Housing Development. We did reach out to the developer, to your question, Councilman Gonzalez, to let them know to be here this morning, but I haven't heard anything back.
Okay, and the other thing is that I realize that we have a memorandum supporting every one of the sales, but it's a pro forma memorandum. It's not specific to each of the properties. I would love to see a memorandum that is specific to each property, indicating what properties have been developed by the developers. It says they have developed various properties, but I don't know where the properties were. I would love to have more detail in those memorandums. It's every memorandum that I saw has the same information more or less, and I believe that every developer is different, every project is different, every developer experience is different.
So just to clarify, just to make sure, Councilman Gonzalez, you're referring to what we got, what was sent to us this morning, that information. Yeah. What I do believe, and I agree with Councilman Gonzalez, it would be helpful to have a little additional information on each of these. It also may help in terms of when they don't come or to show up, or when they are here, we don't necessarily have to ask them as many questions because we'll have that information in front of us. So I think maybe going forward to Deputy Mayor to provide just additional information similar to what Councilman Gonzalez was requesting.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
it's,
Councilman Gonzalez.
I totally agree with you. Let's say if we have a detailed memorandum, we don't want to, or we might not want to have him come here and waste some time. So I believe it's imperative that we have let's say a detailed memorandum indicating their experience, what the project is, what they have done in the city before, so that we don't have to have them here.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. I believe a lot of information is probably can be gleaned off the LOI.
Yeah.
Well, for this particular item that we're talking about right now, with Broadbelt, that was not included in what you guys received this morning, because this is actually an amendment to their original sale, because they had to change their project scope as well as their time frame, and that was due to the changes in the zoning. So this was not included in what you received this morning, but I do hear what you're saying about the other items, and I will pass that information along.
Thank you.
And let me ask you a question, and you said it, but it's hard for me to hear. I hate to say that acoustics sometimes are crazy. What was the change in terms of the scope of the project?
Yes, sir. The original scope of the project was for them to develop two-family homes on each of the vacant lots, as well as an apartment building containing 12 residential units. With the zoning changes, they had to change what they did on each individual address. So for 29th Avenue, they're going to be constructing a two-family home. On 38 Orange Street, they're going to develop a multi-story residential building with 16 units. At 15 Hector Street, they're going to redevelop a single-family home on the property. And at 13 Hector Street, they're going to develop a multi-family residential building with 16 units. So they had to make each address a particular item versus what they originally did.
And that's as a result of the change in the zoning ordinance?
That is correct.
And that's the only reason they're coming before us today?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Don't go anywhere, you might have some others.
B is to rehabilitate the property and use as an owner-occupied home in the Central Ward.
Are they appearing?
The developer was here. I'm not sure where he is.
I'm going to make a motion, if they're not here, motion to defer this one. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, second by Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
Duly noted.
Next item.
C is new construction of one two-family home and one three-family home to sell at market rate in the West Ward.
Is the developer here?
I believe they got called by Councilman Kelly to come speak with him.
Said I really,
I believe they were called by Councilman Kelly to come speak with him. That's the developer for C as well as D. They're speaking with Councilman Kelly at this moment right now.
okay. So let's go past C and D and let's come back to that one. Let's go straight to E.
E is new construction of a single-family home to be owner-occupied in the Central Ward.
Is the developer here?
She's present.
Okay. I'm gonna let Councilman Gonzalez ask the questions. He likes to do that. Can you come present?
Yeah, good morning. Come to the mic.
Yes, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. You have developed in the city of Newark.
Yes.
Where in the city of Newark and what kind of properties have you developed?
You asking about the lot that I'm interested for?
I am asking what your experience is as a
Oh.
developer.
Okay, I have a small company, Subika Construction. It's a woman-owned construction company, and I did work few projects in city of Newark. It's not with city, but houses in the city of Newark, and also some other counties.
So you haven't developed anything in the city of Newark before?
I got renovated a lot of properties, but not the ground up. But I did the ground up somewhere else.
Okay, okay. And how many years have you been doing that?
About 11 years.
I don't have.
I have all the licenses and insurances and experience working with the Fannie Mae doing their properties.
And you live in the city of Newark?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. Next item.
F is new construction of a three-story mixed-use building with an office space and two affordable apartments and parking in the Central Ward.
Are the developers here?
This is for Naventi.
Naventa, yes. Investments.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying, because I'm not sure if the developers are here or not, and not hearing their LLC is,
Naventi Investments. Anybody here for Naventi Investments? All right. Hearing none. I want to I'll move to defer.
Second.
Second by Councilman Gonzalez.
Duly noted.
All right, next item.
And G is to construct a two-family home to sell at market rate in the West Ward.
Developer.
Hardcore.
So Councilman Kelly just walked in, so let's hold off on that. We're gonna go back to the three, the West Ward ones. We can move on right now.
It's C and D.
C, D, and G.
So C was new construction of one two-family home and one three-family home to sell at market rate.
Yeah,
And D was new construction of a two-family home to sell at market rate.
yeah. Well, Councilman Kelly is here, so now that he's sitting, we're on page 13, 7R2C and 7R2D.
My apologies for being late. Meeting just ran a little late. Yes, I'm good with it.
You're comfortable with?
I'm comfortable with 7R2C and 7R2D.
Any concerns, questions from the council? All right, hearing none. So let's go to 7R2G on page 17.
Yes, I'm comfortable with 7R2G as well.
Okay.
Do you meet with the developer?
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. All right, let's go to 7R2H then.
Okay, 7R2H is acceptance of grant funds for the Summer Youth Work Experience Program.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
7R2I is execute a community benefits agreement to authorize the execution of a community benefits agreement between the City of Newark and Fulton Street, Newark LLC, and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority as a condition of receiving tax credit incentives under the Aspire program for property in the Central Ward. And a public hearing will be held on Wednesday, April 2nd.
Ms. Daniels, Daniel, can you just come up and let us know what the community benefits agreement includes?
Good morning again. Brandy
morning.
Daniel, Legislative Coordinator for Economic and Housing Development. This is actually connected to a tax abatement that you'll be hearing on communication today. They're actually related. Our negotiations happened at the same time for both of them. This is in regards to a property at 16-32 Fulton Street. And the community benefits are that they will be providing 5 transitional units to go along with the city's PATH home plans and homelessness. And also another benefit that they are giving us is $1 million payout to the Community Economic Development Trust Fund, which will consist of $200,000 per year for 5 years. And the initial payment will take place after the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, and then on the anniversary of the initial payment every year for 5 years.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns from the council? I will say I'm happy to see the $1 million. I think this so far is the best CBA we've seen, so
And the developer and the attorney are here if you guys wanted
Yeah.
to speak with them.
thank you to the developer.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
it's Mr. Berger is someone that we know in the city of Newark
right.
for what he has done in terms of projects in the city of Newark, and I am 100% in support of this project.
I second that, definitely.
Third that, I
All right.
1,000% in support.
All right, before we have a pep rally, all right. Anything else? Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm just curious to see what the timeline is as far as the development of this project. You know, we're gonna see some activity on the site. I know we gotta go through these approvals first.
Good morning, council members. Jennifer Mazaway from the law firm of K&L Gates on behalf of Fulton Street Newark LLC.
Good morning.
Good morning. And to the councilman's question, we are finalizing our financing for the project, and included in that is a request for a payment in lieu of taxes from the council, which will be forthcoming. Our expectation is that we'll be breaking ground in July of this year.
All right.
And the project will take approximately 2 years to build,
That's
2
great.
years to 28 months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilman Ramos? All right. All right, hearing none, next item.
7R4A will be returned to the administration. 7R5A through E are contracts with subrecipients to provide HIV/AIDS-related health and support services. A is Rutgers State University START Program. B is Rutgers State University Special Services Dental Clinic. C is Zufall Health Center, Inc. D is Iris House, a center for women living with HIV, Inc. And E is Newark Community Health Centers, Incorporated.
Any questions from the council?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Council.
Is it possible the director can let us know what is happening, since nationally there's been a lot of impact on grant funding on the federal level and a lot of movement in HHS. How does that impact us here on the ground in Newark? If we can get some information on that, I think that would be critical, especially around, grant funding and the amount of grants that we get in from the federal government. What is the impact on that? And if any, is there any impact we may be facing now because of some of the things that are happening on the federal government level?
Excellent question. Excellent. Briefly, or do we want to do this at if you could, let's do something brief. If you can just give us an overall, and we can talk about details another time.
Sure. Ketlin Alsbrook, Director for the Department of Health. As you know, Council, we are significantly funded through federal and state grants, approximately 60 million, and that was even before the absorption of the homeless program, and that brings our grant funding to about 99 million. In our assessment of what a federal freeze would look like and how it would impact our department, we recognize about $1.7 million in expenses that cover personnel costs, supplies, and other essential services that we provide on a monthly basis. We're talking 1.7 million monthly. When you look at our federal and state grants, we have recently received a work order, a stop work order notice on one of our grants, which is impacting some of the projects that we had in progress, like our website development, some renovations to our health center, as well as creating more employee parking at our facility. And so now we have to go back and think about what we're able to do with the money that's left for us to spend. So there's a significant impact, and we have looked at contingencies, which would include the reduction of services, possibly looking at personnel as well. But I can provide more detailed information to you when you see fit.
Thank you, Director. Anything?
If I may.
Councilman Gonzalez.
And I believe we haven't seen all the impact that may come later from, let's say, from the federal government. These are the first salvos on the war. I believe that we're going to see much more cuts, or we might see more cuts coming up in the next couple of years.
Yeah, we have been warned to prepare for that. I mean, I think you've seen Governor Murphy's statement about the $350 million cut to the New Jersey Department of Health and Human Services. And so that will definitely impact us. We receive STD grants, immunization grants that make sure children are appropriately vaccinated before they enter school. So, we are very concerned about the public health impact that this is going to have in our city.
Thank you.
7R6A through G are settlements for executive session. 7RH through N are professional services contracts. H is for litigation defense matters. I is to serve as per diem attorneys in Newark Municipal Court during the day. J is to serve as per diem attorneys in the Newark Municipal Court at night. K is provide legal services as special counsel. L is for labor and employment matters. M is for litigation defense matters, and actually, Council President, council members, M will be amended on the floor tomorrow to reflect at the bottom, $77,311.48 instead of $76,670.95.
Thank you.
And N is for litigation defense matters.
That one, Mr. President,
Councilman Gonzalez.
the date I see, January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. So that is for money already spent.
Usually that's what it means, yes. Mhm. All right, next item.
7R8A is ceremonial street designation for the Benefente family, sponsored by Councilman Quintana, second by Councilman Ramos.
Next item.
B is recognizing and commending resolutions, and C is expressing profound sorrow and regret. 7R9A is shared services agreement to establish shared services among its municipal and county partners should the need arise to appropriately respond to a large-scale incident or multiple simultaneous incidents throughout Essex County.
Any questions? Councilman Gonzalez.
Unrelated to this, but I had suggested that we had some sharing agreements regarding the inspectors of the city so that we can have inspectors from cities around say around Newark, that we might have a service contracted to the different municipalities. I haven't heard anything regarding that. I would love to see if we have done anything to try to do that and ameliorate the situation that we have, especially with the elevator inspectors.
Yes. We have the Director of Engineering here, as well as the Business Administrator. If anybody wants to come up.
Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. Thanks for the question and suggestion, Councilman Gonzalez. It's a good suggestion. I know we made some preliminary inquiries and didn't have much interest, but we have to look at it. We don't pay enough. So even internally, we have to work on that and adjust that. We are in the process. Now I've gotten a proposal from engineering to adjust the salaries for subcoded elevators, which we are seriously considering. It is constrained by our budget, but it's a very good suggestion, and I will work on it imminently because it's necessary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Mr. B.A. Next item.
7R12A and B are change orders for the Water Department. A is a closeout change order for the repair of the sewer system. And B is a change order for the repair of Timberbrook Road and Culver.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Councilman.
I know, today's April 1st. We don't want to be April Fools anymore, but we're in paving season. And if we can get a list of the streets that are being paved or being worked on from the Water Department as well as engineering, I think that would be helpful. I know there's a lot of things that are happening out there, activity and a lot of detours that people are running into now. I noticed a project on my way in that is being paved, but if we can get the list of streets that are going to be paved so that we can be in front of it and not behind it, I think it'd be helpful.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, through you.
Absolutely. C is a shared service agreement, emergency services of sewer, Vector, Jet, Rotor to respond to sewer main backups, perform routine sewer inspection services, and conduct quarterly preventative maintenance at Newark Housing Authority properties.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
Communications. Item 8A is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement under HMFA law to Fulton Street, Newark LLC for a project to construct a new multifamily housing project consisting of 369 residential units, of which 316 are market rate residential rental units, and of which 80 are affordable rental units and 5 transitional housing units in the Central Ward.
Any questions on this? Hearing none. Next item.
B is an ordinance granting a 25-year tax abatement to Newark Portfolio 2 Urban Renewal LLC for a project to construct a 5-story mixed-use building with 23 two-bedroom residential units, inclusive of 18 two-bedroom market-rate residential rental units in the West Ward.
Any questions on this?
Yeah,
Councilman,
I want
Kelly.
to sponsor this.
Sponsored by Councilman Kelly. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
Can we advance and adopt on first?
Yes, please advance and adopt first as well.
All right.
Thank you, Councilman.
Advance and
Start
adopt.
with the first one too, if we can.
One more time.
The Fulton one, let's do advance on first. Adopt on first.
Okay, yeah, let's advance and adopt 8A2.
Duly noted. C is an ordinance amending business and occupations to create a new chapter regarding licensing of dockless vehicles used for commercial e-deliveries in order to promote improved sidewalk and street safety in the city of Newark's public right-of-way, sponsored by Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, Mr. President,
Yes, Councilman Ramos.
yeah, I want to thank the city clerk's office, Department of Public Safety, and I know Councilman Silva provided some input in the drafting of this legislation, but this is our attempt to try to regulate the many food delivery bikes that are riding around the city, sometimes lawlessly, running through red lights and riding on city sidewalks. So this creates a licensing requirement, but it also empowers our police division to take some strong enforcement actions whenever they do encounter a vehicle that is not complying with the city laws. So I just want to thank the council in advance for their consideration, and also want to affirm that all the appropriate departments, including licensing and public safety, did have an opportunity to provide input and make some changes and sign off.
Council President, I'd like to second that,
Uh,
if there's no second.
Ramos, Kelly, a question for you, Councilman Ramos, just to understanding in terms of like the licenses are for each individual owner, not necessarily Uber Eats or the company Uber
No,
Eats,
it's for each operator.
each individual. Okay. Great. Thank you. Anything else, Council?
Say, I agree with this, but I would love to see the same enforcement with the motorcycles.
Let's go.
We have some issues with the motorcycles. Let's say they come doing wheelies in front of City Hall, in front of police officers, in front of businesses. I believe that we have to have enforcement. It's great that we have the ordinance, but I believe enforcement is much more needed in everything that we do here, because we legislate, but we cannot enforce the laws. And sometimes it's ridiculous what happens on the street, even though we have ordinance prohibiting selling gas to the motorcycles in the city. We have a lot of ordinances, but we don't enforce them. I believe it's important that we do enforcement.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Councilman Ramos.
I think what Councilman Gonzalez is speaking about, these are more recreational kind of vehicles. It's hard to regulate that industry, right? Because these are people who purchase these four-wheelers and mopeds for recreational purposes. I think here you have commerce, you have individuals that are working on behalf of Uber Eats, Grubhub, and these other companies. So it does kind of create a narrower universe that the city can go after. But I agree wholeheartedly with Councilman Gonzalez. There is legislation that I worked on some years ago that enables the police division to confiscate and destroy, those four-wheelers, and it's just not a Newark problem anymore. They're running through suburban towns around the state, and it's tough for them because there are non-pursuit laws that the Attorney General's office has enacted in the state of New Jersey, and it makes it very difficult for local police departments to kind of corral and confiscate these vehicles that, again, are providing major traffic safety concerns in our community. So,
Thank you, Councilman Ramos. Anything else? All right, hearing none. Next item.
D is an ordinance amending business and occupations to create a new chapter entitled Driving School Registration to promote improved street safety in the City of Newark's public right-of-way, sponsored by Councilman Ramos.
Any question, Councilman Ramos? Okay, or
yeah, Mr. President, again, another, this one is a little different than the other one, but Police Division and Licensing also had an opportunity to review, provide some feedback. It's not an attempt to regulate the driving schools because they're licensed by the state of New Jersey, but we do get an occasional concern on behalf of the community about safety. And sometimes where some of these schools kind of set up in residential areas, and we just want to make sure that the Police Division, again, has the authority to move them if they are presenting a traffic safety concern. And at the same time, the schools would have to identify what areas they're going to use as kind of like staging areas to provide instruction to potential drivers. So,
Councilman Quintana.
It's commendable to this ordinance because, again, there's other cities that do not allow you to, as a driving school, just go park on, in terms of what Councilman Ramos, in terms of, they'll go into the forest hills where there's no cars and they bring these schools. Some of these schools are not from Newark. Some of these schools are from out of town. And if you go into a town like a Lyndhurst, they will, they have to go and get a permit with the county park where they would be able to park and do that kind of stuff, where there's enough room. But on a local street, it is prohibited. So I agree with Councilman Ramos in terms of these schools that come out, they come to Newark because they can get away with it. But if you go into those towns, they do not allow the cones, that you put cones on somebody's property, and then you show someone how to park. What they do in those cities is you got to go into the local park, and those companies must be registered with the county park, because that's Lyndhurst and North Arlington they do that. So just just as a friendly suggestion, maybe through county parks or any of those nature, because I've seen these students to schools, and what they do is they drive up streets and you see the light, these young people who are learning how to drive, or whoever's learning how to drive, with the foot on their brake. It's very dangerous.
Mr. President.
So, Councilman Gonzalez.
To expand a little bit on that is if you go to behind Highland Avenue between Berkeley and Development, they have sometimes 3 stations to park the cars, to teach the students how to park, parallel parking. That's a hindrance to the people that live in those communities. In addition to having them go around almost the whole day in that neighborhood there, it creates a safety problem. I believe that we have to, I totally agree with this. I believe that we have to have, again, enforcement of these ordinances, so that at least if they have a permit, we know that they are going to be there, and perhaps people drive more carefully around them. But if you don't know that they're going to be there, you are not taking the precautions that you should be taking, because there are a lot of people learning how to drive in the area.
Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez.
and if I could, Mr. President, and to Councilman Gonzalez's point, I think residents have called the Police Division complaining sometimes about these schools and their practices. The problem is that we've never really had an ordinance locally that creates standards. So hopefully here gives the police division a little bit of muscle when they're out there responding to some of the quality of life complaints and traffic safety complaints.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Ramos
Gonzalez.
doesn't mind, maybe we want to adopt, move and adopt them first.
Oh, thank you. Can we do both?
Yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't think about that.
Duly noted.
All right, a question. I do have a question, Councilman Ramos, just with regards to this ordinance. The one thing it said that kind of caught me off guard, and maybe you can better explain it. It's in the application, I believe, they have to give the name of each and every public street or highway. Is that more referring to when they're doing putting out the cones and turns, not necessarily
Not driving around.
Okay, that's what I was taking a little bit, but okay.
Unless I'm in a rush in the morning and there's a car in front of me that's from a particular driving school. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. All right.
It's only when they're practicing the parking enforcement, like Councilman Gonzalez mentioned, that they set up homes. And
I remember over 30 years ago on Frelinghuysen Avenue, they're setting up cones, and I learned how to parallel park. All right, very good. Anything else?
that's it.
Next item. That's it. Oh no, one more.
Item 10A is approval of the raffle license.
All right, next item.
Mr. President, I know I came in late, but I do want to thank Allison Ladd and her folks for sending some detail, which we just got by email, I think before the council meeting, regarding the property sales. But I think it just gives a lot of detail on the groups that are appearing before us, but it still doesn't address the question about whether other people submitted LOIs for those same properties. So unless I missed that in the documentation that was forwarded to us before the council meeting, I don't think that's there. So you have a particular property. It just gives us a lot of background on who is appearing on the agenda, but it doesn't tell us if other groups submitted LOIs for that property. And that's kind of like what I've been asking.
Yeah, and Councilman Ramos, that's definitely what you've been asking. And I do believe I received a notice that we're going to get that information today on LOIs.
They
So I
did
know
send
you've
some
been asking for a
very good
while.
detail
Yeah.
on the properties that are on the agenda and the groups that are recommended to buy those properties. But like I said, even if it's like a 5-year window, that we get LOIs from 3 other groups and justification why those 3 groups weren't selected and why the group that's on the agenda was selected. That's
Absolutely. I don't think we all.
I'm not trying to make life difficult. I just like to see some justification connected to the recommendations.
Thank you, Councilman Ramos. Agreed.
Mr. President, if I may.
Councilman
I
Gonzalez.
had asked Director Ladd also for a list of all the tax abatement projects that we have in the pipeline and where we are in terms of the process. Let's say whether we have had meetings with the developers, where are we? Because we have a lot of people complaining that they have projects, but we haven't seen any tax abatement meetings in like a month and a half. So I believe it's imperative that we have, let's say, that we know what is happening and why we are not getting the applications.
Great point. Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez. All right. Let's go for
We are now at the public portion of the meeting, in which each speaker has 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record. Is there anyone wishing to address the council?
Good morning.
Good
Dr.
morning.
Freeman. Here on behalf of Oprah that I put in for the Newark Environmental Commissioners. It's 25 days. I'm just asking for the minutes. Why is the residents not being able to get the minutes to the Environmental Commissioners meetings?
I'm sorry, I'm trouble hearing. Which commission you're from?
The Newark Environmental.
Oh, the Newark Environmental
Commissioners
Commission?
Minutes, right? They're issued to the council, In the mayor's office, they give recommendations. So we're starting to do a little research. Are some of them members the scout of developers? Because I don't see where there's a conflict of interest in the ordinance or how y'all put them into place. They have people on the planning board. They have upfront information on brownfields, land acquisitions, and all these different components. I see a lot of environmental people that's not in Newark have more interest and information on what's going on in Newark than the actual residents that's in Newark. They have environmental lawyers that's out of Newark. They making money. They suing on behalf of Newark. Let's look at the Passaic River. Where's those funds going to? Is it going to the outside lawyers that's not from Newark, that's calling themselves environmentals? We have information on what about their nonprofits? There seems to be a big push for environmental, but we still have high cancer rates. We have more dialysis centers that's in the city of Newark than a minute. I'm asking for a special meeting to have those commissioners come before us, and I want them to answer if they have any other interests than the residents. Do they have a nonprofit that has applied for EPA or DEP grants? Because they have firsthand information. We do not have that information. They have the records. So they did give me some information that was from 2017 to 2015. Why didn't they give me 2018, 2019, 2020? The other one is where did the HES fund money go to for each ward? I want to have that information too. So we're going to be, I'm going to give this to you too. Also on your website for the environmental, it's back to 2024. We don't even know when their meetings is in 2025, right? Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Is there any other speakers? I don't see any other speakers, so unless there's something, we're gonna go into executive session. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, real quick, Councilman, and I know you and I, we're trying to schedule an education committee meeting to invite some of the local universities and colleges. And I know they had thrown out a few dates, and I just wanted to ask for your chair if we can consider the 22nd, because I think Dr. Boachi at Essex County College wants to participate or send somebody, and they have some availability issues because of the break and stuff like that. So I know originally it was scheduled for the 8th. So I wanted to see if we can move it to the 22nd. Okay,
We'll do it.
thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Council, you available the 22nd?
Yeah, you got it.
I'm on vacation, but I'll come in just for that meeting.
On vacation.
Yes. I wish. All right, let's schedule it for April 22nd, all right? Thank you. Anything else from the council? Anything from the administration? Okay.
Good morning, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. Just two brief items. Just wanted to bring to the council's attention that the city filed a lawsuit against the Geo Group, which intends to run this ICE facility at Delaney Hall for their failure to allow the city to inspect essential systems, the elevators, fire suppression system, any of their the facilities where they're going to be cooking or serving food. There was a failure to allow access to inspect electrical work and plumbing work, which has obviously been done, and the fact that they've been holding training classes at the facility without getting a continuing certificate of occupancy or a new certificate of occupancy, and there's been no application to the zoning board. We filed suit actually early this morning. The expectation that it would have been done yesterday, but it has been done. We're on top of it. The complaint is available publicly, and I can get copies to the council if they would like.
Please.
Issue 2 is with respect to the legislation. I think it's been sponsored by Councilman Ramos, and he The dockless bike system ordinance spoke about the departments having an opportunity to weigh in on that. I don't believe engineering had any opportunity to weigh in, and that once the agenda came out, that's the first time they were made aware of it. I don't know that there's any issue, but I am going to ask them to take a look at it just to see if there's an issue. I think it's fine. It generally makes sense to me that we have better oversight of these delivery services, but I do want to make sure that there's no impact on the scooters that are being rented out and that sort of thing. I think it's fine, but we would like to take a look at that, have the opportunity to take a look at it from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, I have no objection. I don't believe it affects the Bird and what's the other company?
VO, I think it is.
Yeah. No, this is strictly the food delivery bikes, but I have no objection. Still have some time to make changes if they're reasonable recommendations.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman.
That's it for me, unless there's
That's it?
any
Okay.
questions.
Anything?
Yeah.
Councilman.
Yeah, Mr. BA.
Yes, sir.
In relations to the Lady Hall issue, there was notice about a stop work order being placed at the facility. My interest behind that is that we utilize the full arm of the law that we have put in place around that stop work ordinance. And so if we are really detailed and, our folks from UCC and engineering really looks at the ordinance, then I think we are in good position to be able to go into Delaney Hall and do the things that are needed to be able to, halt some of the stuff that they were doing, right? The ordinance speaks very intentionally and specifically to work being done after stop work order has been put up and what the role and responsibility of the city can be based on the law and the fines that can be assessed and the roles and responsibilities that we have. And so if we were to dive into that, I think it would, give us some additional leverage of what is happening over at Delaney Hall, which I'm totally against.
Thank you for that, Councilman. Council, to that point, in addition to the order to show cause that was filed in Superior Court, we are pursuing the ordinance in municipal court as well, to the extent that the operation continues to do work post the stop work order. We will pursue those remedies as well.
Thank you. Mr. Biek, if you could just share the order to show cause with all the council members.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. BA.
Sure.
Mr. Clerk, before we go to executive session, my understanding is the developer for Navente Investments is here. Is that okay? Which is on page 16 for everyone on 7R2F. Mr. Muhammad, you come to the mic. I'm gonna let Councilman Gonzalez do his voir dire.
Amin Mohammed.
Your mic, here you go.
And are you resident of the city of Newark?
Yes, I am.
How much development have you done in the city of Newark before?
I've been doing development for 30 years in Newark. My first piece of property that I got from Newark was 1996.
And
We've been doing development. I'm a construction management. I work for Navente. I work for other construction companies too.
But
They did 2 projects last year as the builder. But what they looking to do, they want to build for themselves. So that's why they trying to.
so Navente is a developer.
It's a mother and daughter builders team, and they're residents of Newark too.
Okay.
And
And they have developed before in the city of Newark.
Yes, they have.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you. With you being here and that being said, I would remove the deferment. Yeah. Let's move forward with it as opposed to deferring that one. Thank you. All right, now, let's get a roll call, go in executive, unless there's anything else, executive session. Roll call for executive session.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, everybody, let's run upstairs so we can get in and out. You had a good one. You had a good one today. I'm gonna let go.
Why you just say that?